Thank you, Katie. Hi, everyone. My name's Ben Wong. I am a grant specialist with the APCD, San Diego County Air Pollution Control District. So, good afternoon. I'm going to be talking about grants. And as Katie had said, we'll go ahead and hold the questions until the end. And with that, I'll go ahead and get started here and just go ahead and turn my video off. All right. So let's get this show going. Okay, so just a little summary of our grant program, just quick summary. Our program's actually going to be opening fairly soon here. Basically mid to late October. So, and we'll be sending out an email. So I'll go ahead and link you to our email listserv so that you could get on that and be notified when we open. Our grant program is a reimbursement type grant program. So you would have to purchase the new equipment, submit a few documents, and then we'll go ahead and reimburse you. And I'll go over that a little bit more later. As part of our program, we're looking to replace old equipment, old dirty equipment with newer equipment. And so with the newer equipment, we're looking at, if we're looking at off-road equipment like tractors, we're looking at replacements that are Tier 4 final diesel engines or electric equipment. And when we replace the equipment, we're looking for a one-to-one replacement, or not necessarily one-to-one, but a like-for-like replacement. So if you've got an old tractor that's 30 horsepower, we're looking to replace it with a newer tractor that has around 30 horsepower. And also, the last piece here is the existing or the old equipment as part of this program will eventually have to be scrapped. So what we have here is a few pictures of some eligible equipment types, especially related to agriculture. So if you're replacing a diesel ag pump with an electric ag pump, that is an eligible grant type. Or if you're replacing your gas-powered or diesel-powered ATV or utility terrain vehicle side by side with an electric version, that is also an eligible equipment type. Another equipment type is just your off-road tractors or other agricultural equipment that's mobile, as long as that is 25 horsepower or greater. Those should be eligible for our program. And then finally, we have here on-road heavy-duty trucks that are 14,000 gross vehicle weight rating or greater. So, and so 14,000 GVWR, greater than 14,000 GVWR. And then I just wanted to quickly talk about or point out some of the other eligible equipment types as part of the Clean Air for All program. Though these may not necessarily be eligible to you particularly, just more of an FYI, locomotives, construction equipment, industrial equipment like forklifts, as well as marine vessels like tugboats or commercial sport fishing boats. We could repower the engines on those. And then here's a brief breakdown on the amount of grant funding we have available for this fall 2020 cycle. And there are primarily 3 pots of money here. So the first pot that I'll talk about, and you may be familiar with this if you've been in our program before is the Carl Moyer program, otherwise known as Moyer for short. And this program encompasses all the equipment types that I had previously described, and it also includes agricultural equipment. So this pot of money can be spent on, say, a tractor replacement. So we have $5.5 million available from Moyer. And there's another program called Farmer, and this is specifically for ag equipment. There's $500,000 available there. And then the third pot of money we have is the Clean Air Protection Program, otherwise known as CAP, and that has $13.2 million available. This one is specifically catered towards equipment that is located or affects what are known as disadvantaged or low income communities. And then one thing that I hadn't mentioned on the screen here is our voucher incentive program, our on-road voucher incentive program, otherwise known as VIP. We're looking to open that later next year, so early next year, actually, maybe Q1 or Q2, and we'll have about 690,000 available for that program. So just to break down the maximum grant funding that's available for those three programs that I mentioned earlier. So for your off-road equipment, like your tractors, if you're getting a replacement, we can fund up to 80% of the eligible costs to replace that equipment. For the utility terrain vehicles or the side-by-sides, for an electric replacement, we can fund up to 75%. For infrastructure projects like electric ag pumps or charging stations, we may fund up to 65%. And then for on-road trucks that are greater than 14,000 GVWR, we can fund up to 80% of the eligible costs. So there are quite a few, eligibility requirements, and they may vary from equipment type to equipment type. But I just wanted to go over some of the minimum eligibility criterias. So for the projects to be applicable, the equipment must operate in California at least 75% of the time, and at least 50% of the time within San Diego County. The replacement equipment must be operational by May 31st, 2022. There must be at least 2 years of ownership prior to application, so 24-month period. And then your company and or fleet must be in compliance with any other air quality regulations that are applicable. And this includes all sorts of diesel equipment if they're applicable, such as portable equipment, stationary equipment, any other mobile sources. Next, this flow chart here just kind of breaks down, summarizes our grant process. So the first step is this fall 2020 solicitation, where you go ahead and submit an online application. Our staff here at APCD will be reviewing the applications as they come in, and we will be ranking all the projects. And then the next step here is we'll go ahead and contract with organizations that have made that rank list, or rather applications that have made the rank list. And depending on the volume of applicants, this process from application submittal to contract execution may take up to a year. We are currently trying different things to go ahead and streamline that and make that a little quicker. And once you've received your executed contract, that's when you can go ahead and purchase the new equipment. And when you receive your new equipment, you go ahead and scrap the old equipment. And then you'll submit some reimbursement documents, including the purchase invoice on the new equipment, things like insurance on the new equipment, warranty, etc. And then we'll go ahead and reimburse you through a check. And then the final step here is the status reports. They're fairly simple reports that just want to obtain the number of hours or the usage for your new equipment. So either hour meter readings on your tractor, or if you're getting a new on-road truck, the odometer reading. And we'll be collecting the status reports annually for the life of the contract. So next, I just wanted to go ahead and talk about action items and what you can do now to prepare. I know the grant program is opening up fairly soon, but I still think this is a helpful exercise to go through. So the first step is to go ahead and sign up for our APCD email listserv, where you'll get the latest announcements from us. And I will have a link in the later slides and talk about it a little bit more. Next, you should create an Acela Citizen Access account. That is our online application web portal. There's a link here and also another link in the later slides. Next, you should review our preparing for an upcoming solicitation website, which will list more specific documents and information to gather in preparation for the application. And go ahead and link in the later slides as well. Next, number 4, we have basically gather the last 24 months of any sort of usage document, whether we're talking about hour meter records or mileage on your on-road truck. Next, number 5, proof of ownership. So documents, ideally a bill of sale or a title. There are other forms of documents that may be approved as well. Number 6, I'm sorry. Yeah, well, I guess number 5 is to go ahead and gather any sort of vehicle or engine model, serials, horsepower, engine family numbers. And next, make sure that these labels on your equipment and engines are legible and clean, whether they're on a tag or a sticker, or whether the serial is stamped directly on the block or the frame. Just make sure that these are clean and legible. Because new this year, we will be requiring photos of these numbers as part of your application. And this was one of the ways that we're hoping to streamline the application review process. Next, we have we want you to meet with vendors or dealers and obtain quotes on the proposed new equipment, because this is how we'll use these quotes to calculate the maximum grant amount. And then the next step is just be ready to go ahead and submit an application online. All right, so I'm just going to go over some important links. So this link here is our email listserv. So you click it, and then you want to go under the air quality section, and then click the checkbox for air quality dash grants and incentives. And once you do that, you'll be on our listserv. And so when we send out any notifications about upcoming grants or when our grants are opening, you'll be the first to know. Here is a web page to our homepage. It's pretty slick and easy to use. It'll list the different equipment types, so your heavy duty trucks, ag, marine vessels, and then you just click on it, and it'll show you what programs are are applicable for those types of equipment and whether those programs are open or when they're planning to open, etc. This was a link that I had talked about earlier about how to prepare for any upcoming grant solicitation. And so go ahead and click on the link. There are what looks to be 6 different categories. You can go ahead, if you're interested in ag equipment, obviously, you can go ahead and click on the agricultural equipment, and it should show you a list, a more detailed list of documents and information to start gathering and looking at. And if I haven't mentioned this, I believe Katie with the Farm Bureau will go ahead and send you a copy, an electronic copy of the slides, so you'll have all these links to click through. So this next link here is our online application web portal, so our citizen access portal. And I've circled in red here on the right where you can click to create a new account for any new users. And if you already have an account but forgot your password, you could click the other link on that right-hand side to reset your password. And then once you have an account, on the left-hand side, there is a link that's circled called Get Air Quality Service. And that's what you'll eventually click once we open our program. And so when you click that, there should be a button for grants, and it'll open a drop down, and you could select the different equipment type to apply for. Here are a couple of links for a couple of the programs that I mentioned earlier, the grant pots of money, so the Carl Moyer program and the farmer program. And so these programs are created from the California Air Resources Board. So the state actually allocates funding to us to distribute locally. So this is just if you have any, if you just want to learn a little bit more, you can go ahead and click these links. Here are a couple helpful resources by CARB, or California Air Resources Board. The off-road zone is a link that has a lot of good information about off-road equipment, whereas the truck stop has a lot of good information about on-road heavy-duty diesel trucks. So I also wanted to mention this other grant program that we don't run, but that the state runs, called HVIP, or HVIP. So the Hybrid and Zero Emission Truck and Bus Voucher Incentive Project. And it's a voucher program run by the state. If you're looking to purchase a new hybrid or zero emission or natural gas truck, they can help with voucher funding. And I believe with this program there is no scrap component, so you do not have to scrap an existing vehicle. And this program is expected to open early 2021 based on what the website says. But also one thing to note with this program, HVIP cannot be co-funded or stacked with our program. So if you get any funding from HVIP for a particular vehicle, you cannot also double dip on that particular vehicle with our grant programs. And that's just based on how the grant guidelines were written. Finally, here is a list of the grant specialists here at the Air Pollution Control District. There are 5 of us. We're all fairly knowledgeable about grants. So if you have any specific questions or you want to go through grant eligibility requirements, we encourage you to go ahead and contact us before we open our program. However, you may go ahead and contact us while the grant application period is open, and we'll be more than happy to help. So email is the best way to contact us since we are still all working from home. However, if you give us a call, leave us a message, we do check our messages every day. So we can certainly get back to you through phone. We also have a couple of staff members here that speak Spanish. And what I'll do is I'll just leave this slide up. But if you have any questions, I believe Katie can help moderate and take questions. So thank you.
Yeah, of course. If anybody does have any questions, feel free to just unmute yourself and speak up. If you don't want to do that, you can put your message in or your question in the chat box and I'll read it.
Can you hear me?
I think I could hear you a little bit.
Let me speak up closer to the mic here. The question I have for you is these grants available for new purchases? In other words, market to make a purchase, or do you always require an existing?
Yeah, I think that was a little choppy, but I think I heard your question. So let me try to repeat that. So to clarify, your question was asking whether this program can fund just a new purchase as opposed to a purchase to replace an existing piece of equipment. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Yes. So unfortunately, this program is not designed to for new purchases. So we would have to have an existing piece of equipment for this particular grant program.
Thank you.
Okay, we have another question that says, are we required to keep records of the new equipment for a certain time period?
Yes. So as part of the grant program, yeah, so let me think about this. Okay, so as part of the grant program, we have annual status reports, and in those annual status reports, if you're replacing, say, a tractor, we will require the hour meter reading on that annually. just so that we understand and know how much you're using it. And you would have to keep track of that as long as the grant contract is active. So for the life of the grant contract, which can be as little as 3 years and as much as 10 years. So I mean, it would all depend on the project life of the contract.
All right, do we have any other questions? Give about 10 more seconds to speak up. Okay, so we have, so would they need to verify hours or mileage once a year?
To verify mileage or hours once a year. So I guess to clarify then, does that mean whether we'll have staff come out to go ahead and double check? If that's the case, no. We don't typically come back out to audit and make sure that those hours are yeah, we don't come out to do random inspections per se. So you just send us that annual status report, which will be a form attached to the contract, and then we'll take that at face value. Although there should be some language in the contract where we do reserve the right to come out and do inspections. If we do, we will certainly coordinate with you, but that isn't the normal process. Usually, we just accept your annual status reports.
Do we have any other questions? Oh, hold on. We have, if we are replacing a diesel pump engine with an electric, it would need to be operational by 2022?
Yes. So wouldn't it be operational by 2022, ideally? Though there may be some wiggle room there. So I would encourage you to reach out to one of us, and we can certainly discuss it more in detail.
Minimum requirement, time requirement?
See, Anthony, we see that you're trying to talk, but it's coming through fuzzy. Or if you're on a computer, do you want to try putting it in the chat box? So what, if any, minimum type of ownership for the equipment? What is any minimum time of ownership for the equipment being replaced?
So ownership. I guess I'll talk about two things related to ownership. So the one thing is we're requiring at least a couple of years of ownership prior to the application. And then typically we would expect some kind of bill of sale or a title. Although I know in the past we have accepted documents like tax equipment, tax depreciation type of documents, just or insurance documents to verify that you have owned that piece of equipment for at least 2 years. I hope that answers your question. If not, feel free to follow up.
All right, looks like that answered the question. Anything else? Any other questions? All right, well then, thank you, Benjamin, for taking your time and for going through this. I will, if you want to send me these slides, I can send it out to everybody who is participating in the webinar. And of course, you can contact us at Farm Bureau for contact info, or just take down this contact here. But, all right, I think that if there's no other questions, then we'll dismiss.
Sounds good. Thank you, Katie, and the Farm Bureau for helping us put this on.
Thank you.
All right, bye.